Welcome to the 60 Plus Best Life podcast. We know that being in your 60s doesn't mean being over the hill anymore, and that, in fact, for many of us, the 60s feel more like a time of bright new beginnings, but with the added benefit of decades of wisdom and perspective. We also know that being in this time of life poses many questions and anxieties. We're happy to bring you conversations with those who have taken actions to create or enhance their lives to experience as much vitality, accomplishment, and purpose as possible by embracing change and the challenges in front of them. You'll also learn from health and wellness professionals, creators, and visionaries who are making life at 60 plus the best time of life. Join me, Daisy Swan, and Kimberly Fowler as we explore this life stage rich with possibility, depth, and new beginnings. By liking, subscribing, and forwarding this podcast, you'll be increasing the awareness that indeed the 60s and beyond hold so much more opportunity for enhanced health, personal growth, income, adventure, and satisfaction as well. Let's change those outdated perceptions that being in your 60s spells old age for good. So happy to have you on, Lisa. We have some questions about the work you do and what's happening for people. So can you start off by telling us a little bit about what's happening in the dating scene, particularly for men and women over 60?
I see a lot of activity.
Yeah.
There's a lot of interest. People are not slowing down. 60 is not a number. 60 and above is not saying, oh, I'm too old to date. Then quite the contrary. I believe that people are thinking this is a time to restart and rebuild and have a whole new life I didn't have before. And I can do this well. I have the time, the energy, maybe the finances are different, but I see a big growth in the online community. You look at, I think the older 60 and above is the fastest growing online. And I mean, because it is a little bit more challenging to meet somebody. So how do you do it? And it can be done well online, and if you do it safely. But people come to me all the time that are over 60 and
women?
Men and women. And it's about a third of my business is over 60.
And the other parts of your business?
The other parts are a third is maybe people in their 40s and 50s that might already have children and have been getting divorced and then want to have more children, or maybe not, but it's more common that they're divorced and looking to start another relationship. And then I have about a third who are younger, who are wanting to get married for the first time and start a family.
So people are living longer and they're looking good. And are people looking good?
Yes. Yes. Oh my gosh. Especially where we are, in Southern California, people tend to, you're outdoors, you're taking care of your health and fitness. In Santa Barbara, the lifestyle is, it's all about being healthy and fit and emotionally, physically. So people come to me all the time saying, I'm 60, but I don't look it. I'm 70, but I don't look it. I'm 75, I don't feel it. And nobody's going to be able to keep up with me. And I hear that over and over. Nobody comes to me. Maybe, okay, so I will put this in perspective. Maybe 1 out of 10 people might come and say, I feel my age. I'm not looking to be up and about. I don't want somebody who's going to be hiking and wanting me to be doing all kinds of activities. That's really 10% of the population that come to me. 90% are like, I want somebody vibrant, that they're going to be traveling and doing activities, and we're going to be fit and enjoying life to the fullest and having great sex, and it's all part of it. And people are looking good.
What do you see that men and women over 60 are doing wrong when it comes to dating? What do you see, or what could we be doing better?
Well, I always like to be in the more positive for sure. Doing better, or maybe what people are not doing, depending how you want to look at it. I think that people go out and they don't really know what they want. And they're maybe falling into relationships just because maybe they met somebody and they, liked each other, but they haven't been very intentional. They haven't been clear on what they want, what they don't want. I find that often. I'm always surprised when I talk to somebody and I have a clarity session. We go through, what are your absolute must-haves and why? I mean, why do you need these things? And these are not just the long list. These are, I'm busy and I want to spend my life with somebody. And these are qualities that I can see building a life with this person. So what are those? And that clarity, and what doesn't work for you? What are those deal breakers? This thing that you'd rather say, I'd rather be single than be with somebody who had these qualities or characteristics, and knowing what you bring to the relationship and why somebody would want to be with you. So what I find is, if you know those things, if you know, you can be more intentional, and you will find the people out there, and you'll know if somebody's a good fit or not. So if you're not understanding what those things are, you might tend to do the same mistakes and choose the same kind of people that didn't work for you in the past. And so that's one thing. Or another one is, people might have had a bad relationship, and then they can get very negative and feel projected onto other people, or feel there's never going to be somebody there for them, or all the good ones are taken. So a negative attitude is never a good way to go into dating. You have to totally change that perspective and know that you're worthy and wonderful, and somebody great will recognize that in you, and they're out there. You just have to believe it, because they are. They're gems, and you see them when you know what you're looking for.
Right.
That's interesting. I know so many, well, particularly women, and we do know percentage-wise, seems like there's more eligible women out there than men in the world.
Mm-hmm.
So
like
I don't know. I don't agree with that, but
well, no, I mean, percentage-wise in terms of numbers, and women live longer. I'm testing this out with you. How many of us, right, have heard or maybe have said, all the good ones are taken. There's not that many eligible men who I would want to spend time with. I mean, come on, we've all heard this, right? So what's your take on that, Lisa?
Oh, I totally think that that's a myth. Absolutely. It's more about, if you look at the statistics and where are you going to look in the world? So if you're in Alaska, there's definitely more men. If you're in San Francisco, there's more men. If you're in Santa Barbara, like we are, it's pretty equal. And it just seems like there are more women out there, because women tend to go out in groups. They are more proactive and say, hey, there's a great play going on, and they'll get their girlfriends together and go to it. Or let's go wine tasting. They get a group together. So you see women out together. So it seems like, oh my gosh, there's so many women. Men don't tend to do that as much. And if they're going out, they might go to, the typical, maybe they go to a sporting bar, or maybe they go play a sport. Go to the golf courses. They're playing softball. They're playing soccer. The men are there, but are you going to where the men are? So you have to be going to the places where you're going to be finding those men. Business events, oh my gosh, they're filled with men. Now, of course, are they single? Are they not single? Are they the right one? Because maybe they're a horrible person. But there are single men everywhere, and they're pretty equally skewed ratio-wise in Santa Barbara.
Yeah, and I'm thinking of having lived in LA and New York and Chicago, and always wondering, wow, where are the guys? Because you do see women out and about. So yeah, thanks for that answer.
Another thing, I want to go back to what people are doing wrong when they go out. They tend to be too focused on the outcome. Like, is this my one? Like, God, I met this guy, and oh my gosh, is he it? Is he? And it can just create a vibe of intensity that will turn off a man. It will make them, if they feel, they might feel that this person is too clingy or anxious, and that's a turnoff. So the thing is, just go and enjoy the date. Don't worry if this is your guy or not. All you should be worried about is, do I like him or do I like her? That's it. And then, are they worth getting to know and find out more about them? So just enjoy the date and stop worrying about if this is your ultimate person.
Right. So do you do that with dating? Like, I know you do coaching, dating, coaching. And so is that something you teach your clients?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's so important to just go in and enjoy the person you're with. Really going in saying, this person is taking time out to be with me, and that's great. This is the commodity we all have the least of, is our time. So when somebody honors you by showing up, be present and thankful, and just try to learn about them. Just try to learn something fun about them. When I was dating, I was married for 20 years and then found myself going through my divorce and dating. And I had fun with it. I definitely did. And I certainly met people that I went out on one date with, and then I was very upfront with them and said, I always try to find something great about that person. Like, I love that you do this, or this is fantastic, or I so hope you find your person. I'm not feeling that we're the right fit. But if I meet somebody, if I know somebody, I just wish you all the best, and being kind with it, upfront, honest, because that is such a nice thing to do as well. But I teach people how to go in and be present and enjoy, have a conversation, just look for the good in somebody. Oh gosh, when you're looking for the negative, that's the worst too.
When you do that, when you tell somebody, we're just not the right fit. I think that's what happens with ghosting, because people don't want to have that conversation. Mm-hmm. I don't believe in ghosting. I'll have that conversation, but it's challenging sometimes.
Yeah. So the only reason I would say a ghosting would be acceptable in the very least is if somebody was unsafe to them. They felt they were scared to say something. They thought, oh gosh, if I say something, it might get confrontational. They're fearful of their safety. Mm-hmm. Then don't say something. You need to be safe. Right. And maybe you never talk to that person again. But that, rarely, you just have to be smart when you're out with somebody. Be in a public location. Don't invite somebody to your home. There are ways to be safe. Mm-hmm. But aside from that, if you're not worrying about your safety, you should be a good person and just share. Thank you. And you know how many men said to me, wow, thanks for telling me that. That was awesome. That was so nice of you to be nice with me. Maybe they're like, come on, give me another shot. They might try to push it. And you can't blame somebody for if they like somebody and they want to say, but as long as they're not being aggressive or harmful, or you're scared for your safety.
I was talking with a friend of mine recently. He's in his later 60s, and he was saying, what is the deal with this? I will go out with somebody and we'll be kind of on the third date, and I'm getting the vibe like she doesn't want me to touch her, and I'm thinking, why are we on this date if we're already on the third date and she's letting me take her out to dinner, but she's kind of stepping away from me? Like, am I just being used? It doesn't feel good. And I think those politics of, like, when do you decide you want to keep going out with somebody? It has people feeling so awkward. I think for women, if they don't have the guts to say, you know what, it's not working for me. And then it puts men in an uncomfortable position too.
Yeah, I think it's really kind to be upfront and honest and communicate because, maybe the woman is just not feeling comfortable and she needs to be able to say, I need to take this slow. I think you're a great guy and I like you, but if we're anything physical, I just need to go slow. Maybe I have had some incidents in the past that make me a little bit fearful. And I think that I don't have to fear you, but I need to get through this. Right. So having that conversation, because maybe that's what it was, instead of him wondering like, gosh, maybe she doesn't like me. Is she using me? Maybe she did like him a lot and she just wasn't having that conversation to say, I just need that time. And he can then choose to say, you're worth it. I'll give you that time if I feel that you really are into me and that there's a potential. But if you're not really into me, then let's stop.
It's a lot of bravery.
And communication skills. That's,
Yeah, a lot of bravery, a lot of communication. Mm-hmm. And so many people just feel so intimidated by the whole thing, right?
Yeah. This is where this is where I help people. When I do coaching with people, I have a process, an evaluation, a questionnaire, an in-depth intake, and then, of course, we meet together and go through it. But understanding where is somebody coming from? What are their challenges that are happening for them now? Things that they're doing or not doing that are not being effective for them. Where do they want to go? And then gathering all the information to determine, okay, what's the best path to get you to where you want to be? What are your specific challenges where I can help you improve? And a lot of times it is that communication, or maybe it's just valuing yourself and knowing that you're amazing and somebody's going to see that in you. And if you don't have that, how can somebody see it in you? So I help people just know what they have to offer, have the right conversations, how to be fun and playful. That's another thing. We go into sometimes so seriously. Why? Let's have fun with this. It really should be, I want you to tap into your inner child. I mean, remember, tag your it, do you like me? Check A, yes. Check B, no. Just be playful. So I teach people how to be playful and have little baby steps, even just saying hello to somebody. I say, there are people around you, keep your eyes open, get your head out of your phone, look around and do the one time a day thing to somebody. Say, today I am so nervous, but I promised myself I was going to say hello to somebody new today, and you're it. Do something, just be your own advocate and go up and do something brave and fun, or go and compliment somebody on something, they're wearing something great, or they got a great book in their hand, and ask them about it. There's so many ways you can start a conversation. And if they shut you down, then, maybe it might hurt for a moment. Own it. Say, okay, well, that hurt a little bit, but hey, he didn't see me, or she didn't see me. Why am I going to get upset of it? This is not worth my time and energy. Somebody else is going to appreciate me. And the next conversation you strike up might be the one that you end up spending the rest of your life with. But you got to be brave. There's a lot of bravery. So I help.
Or you get a dog. I mean, I have a golden retriever, and it's like, oh my goodness. It's like, I walk them, and people come up and talk to you. Time.
Yeah, exactly. That's a perfect way. And I just did a survey at my singles party. Interesting enough, cats rule or dog's best friend. Which one are you? And dogs won. Both came in seconds.
What you're saying though about meeting people, just in daily life, you hear about people meeting people on planes a lot, or traveling, that sort of thing, which actually leads me to another question, because so many of us when we're in our 60s, we do have more time. So we might be traveling, or we might be open to meeting somebody who lives somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so let's say I'm going to be on a plane next week, going to Atlanta, and I sit down and I'm talking to somebody who lives in Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
I live in, California. It's complicated.
It can be. Distance is very challenging, but it has to do that it can work. Absolutely. If you have a connection with somebody and you're both in the mindset where I want to meet the right person for me, and I am going to be open to it. That person might not be in my backyard. They might be across the country. And one person of that group has got to be willing to you know what, I would move for the right person. Because if neither is going to move, then that's not going to work. Or maybe I often have people I put together who have a home in different states, different areas, and they might spend half their time in one place, half their time in another one, or some kind of a combination, but willingness to say, hey, you are worth this. Yeah. And I will shift my life to make this happen. But both parties have to be so willing to do this and feel the other party is worth it. And if not, I don't see how it's going to work.
Yeah. Do you have any stories of people who make these complex arrangements work?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I've had people who have gotten together, who lived in different areas in different states, and they just said, so I always take on people, because I'm in Santa Barbara, I'll take people out of the area as long as they're willing to move here and date here. So that is that. So yes, I have people who've moved here because I've introduced them to the right partner. I've had people who have moved here part-time. They had the two homes, so they would split their time in both locations. But I do the weeding out. I'm able to say to the other party, are you open to this? So if they're not open to it, I'm not going to put them together. Mm-hmm. But absolutely, I mean, I certainly have couples who do have two different homes in different locations. I have the one couple. She had a home here. He had a home in Texas. They bought a home in Colorado. They were like, we love Colorado. Let's start over. I don't want to be on your turf or my turf. And let's do something that we both love together. And they built a life that way together. So it's all about the openness, willingness, and at least one person has got to be open to, I might be spending more time in your location or moving.
Right.
Yeah. That's interesting. I like the starting new someplace where it's different. I never even thought about that. Because I've been the one that's not moving and they're not moving, and it's and then it just doesn't happen. I have a question about we to go back to online dating and photos and your profile. Do you have suggestions for people over 60 with that? Because I've had friends reach out to me and go, because I've had lots of I've met great people on Match, and
she's a good online dater.
I am, and if I don't end up dating them, or I stay friends with them. I have great friends that I've met online, and I met amazing people. And people ask me to help them with photos and stuff, but it's, can you give us some tips on that?
I absolutely can, but I want to ask you, what is your profile like? What do you have on there that's obviously having success?
Well, I mean, I show, like you said, I show a probably a softer side with my dog on the beach, because I love the beach. I live
and she's beautiful. So what are you gonna do?
Right. that there's undeniable, there's attraction when you're looking at somebody who's beautiful, if they're handsome, they're definitely going to get more attention. But the photos, if they're horrible photos, it doesn't matter how beautiful you are. If you're blurred out, you've got sunglasses on, you can't, you got 10 other people in the picture and you're not sure who it is. And I mean, there's lots of things that don't work, but it sounds like you're showing your lifestyle, your dog, the beach, what's important to you. So people are already getting an idea of who you are.
Right. So for me, that works. I mean, sometimes when I'm scrolling through people's, because when I'm online, I see, the men's, and even with men, it's just sort of like, oh my God, what do you think?
Send them to me because
So funny.
oh my gosh. So I help people online date, and I've actually sent messages to people like, come on, I know you're a great person. You got to do better than this. Put a little bit of more energy and effort because you're missing out. But really a very clear face photo, smiling, maybe a little coy, but it has to be something that color. I'm wearing pink today. Red in a photo, it excites the mind, and the mind doesn't distinguish if it's the person who's exciting or is it the color, but red ignites something in our brains. So if you don't like wearing red, put a red frame around your picture. It gives something to that, gives that little, oh, I'm scrolling through and seeing a bunch of photos. Oh, that stopped me because of that color. The great smile, absolutely. A full body shot. Men do not like when you do not have a full body shot. They much prefer if you're a little bit heavier, if maybe you're pear shaped, they much prefer seeing it and making the choice on their own, whether they want to meet somebody or not, versus wondering or being disappointed when they meet you. Like, oh gosh, you didn't really show me the full thing here. That's not fair. Mm-hmm. So own it. Wear great clothing that looks good on your body. Don't try to wear something you wore when you were, 20 years old. Wear something age appropriate. And, get a stylist to help you with looking at your hair color, your skin color, your body shape, getting you the right outfits and taking photos in them. So, you feel good in them, you look good in them. So then you're going to take great photos. Get a photographer who can take good photos, and you don't have to spend a lot. I love working with Madeline Bite here in Santa Barbara, Mad Photo. She is amazing. And she's fast.
Yeah.
You know her?
I know of her. Yeah. A friend of mine just had photos taken and they were beautiful.
Oh my gosh. When I first moved to Santa Barbara, and I had my first headshot taken, she took it and she sat me down and she's like, oh God, this is not working. First of all, I wasn't used to taking photos. And then I just felt ridiculous sitting there. And then she's like, get up, spin around. We're going to do that. And she got my personality. She got me moving. That worked for me. I'm like, that was fun. So have fun with it. And then she turned around with the photos that night. I mean, she was so quick. I love her. So I have been using her for 10 plus years for my clients when they date online. I love that you had your dog in it. Sometimes a little dog is not the best thing for a woman to have in a photo.
Why is that?
Because a lot of times those little foo-foo dogs, men, the women, they get a little bit overboard sometimes with them. They're always with them. They're always kissing them. They're on their lap. They're in the chair next to them. They're with them everywhere. They're being pruned and the men are like, wow, that dog is more important than me. Right. I want to compete with a dog. Right. That can be, dogs don't always work for women. They definitely work for men. Women love a guy with a dog.
It's challenging, like, because I have a big dog. He's 92 pounds. And, when you meet somebody who doesn't have a dog. I mean, it's one thing when I'm looking for, someone online, whether they have a dog is important to me.
Mhm.
Because it's I don't have a foo-foo dog. I have,
Yeah, and that you gotta if you're gonna be in your somebody's gonna be in your life, you come as a package deal. So definitely, I think it's important that again the disclosure so people understand what does this look like. As long as you're being honest, that one person that sees your photo and sees your great big dog might be like, oh my God, that's what I'm looking for. So if it's not, then they'll go move on. And that's okay.
And that's
you
okay.
want to weed out. You want to get rid of somebody who doesn't want to be part of your life.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm curious about lifestyle. Again, I'm coming back to a lifestyle question.
Mm-hmm.
We're working girls, all of us on this call. We love our work. It's an exciting time of life. And the people that we're going to, others who will be on this podcast with us, these are people who are making the most of every day and year and doing the juggle of having your own business or having your career still be an important part of your life. And then maybe meeting somebody who is retired. It's tricky.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. It is tricky. There's so many dynamics behind that. So if you're meeting somebody who was retired doesn't mean that they're not busy. Gosh, I mean, I know people who aren't working and I don't know how they ever worked. I mean, they've got all kinds of activities and friends in their life and a fulfilling, full life. So just because somebody's retired doesn't mean that they're not busy with other activities. Yeah. Of course, that person will want you to be part of their world and integrate well into the things that they enjoy. But mostly when I have people who are retired, they are absolutely fine if somebody has a career. Oftentimes they're hoping that, if this is moving forward, maybe they will cut back somewhat on, and especially if they can financially, if somebody could come into your world and bring you into placement where you don't have to necessarily work to support yourself. I mean, that's a beautiful combination. But if it's just somebody wanting to have more of your time, I have people who are absolutely understanding and prefer to have somebody who has something going on in their world. It's attractive that they're doing something with their life. I feel that more people are looking for somebody who has a career and has done something with their life and is proud of what they're doing, or some kind of a passion that's making them thrive and they're committed to and bring something to them. That's part of the attraction, right?
Exactly. Yeah, that's what I guess that's what I mean, is that this is such an important part of who we are. Mm. And that does bring such dynamism into a relationship.
It's really understanding what the other person wants, though, because I have retired people who hire me and they say, I don't want to be with somebody who's working because I've got time and I want to be doing things with them. And if they're working too much, that's not going to fit into my lifestyle. And I would not then put them together.
Right. So that's that you need to know what you want thing.
Yes. And I think sharing it with somebody and being honest with somebody. To have the best relationships, you have to have those conversations after you decide if you like them. Don't worry about it on the first, not on the first date. But yes, saying you're so wonderful. This is how I view my life and the time and commitment and energy. And I'm busy, but I want to make time for you. As long as somebody feels that you're actually putting them as a priority in your life. I know so many people are like, I don't need to be with this person every day, but maybe talk with them every day. I need to know I'm important to them, but I don't have to see them every day. As long as I know that I rank up there and they will make that time to be with me, and it will be special when we're together. So it's what do you need? How much time? What does that look like? So individual.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, you need to teach a communications course because, as well, that also takes a lot of communication to
Mhm.
to do that when you're working. And for me, it's often a logistical problem. It's just sort of like you have, timing and, with when you're working and somebody's retired, it's, I don't know. I've had issues with it.
Mhm. And what issues have those been?
Just like you said, they have a full life, but you're working and you can't just be a plaything.
Mhm.
Got obligations with your time, so you can't hop on a plane and go someplace fun if you've got meetings but it is true. I mean, we do have more of a remote work, kind of world now.
Right.
But
Yeah.
still, I know I've been there. It can be disruptive to pick up your work life as well, and go somewhere else and need to, plug back in. It all takes negotiation, I guess.
Yeah, there's no doubt with adding distance into it, especially that it just makes it harder. But can it be done? Is it worth it? Is this relationship enhancing your life more or taking away from it? So understanding, where do you want to go? Is this person, can you see your life without this person? And can they see their life without you? Okay, if you're both on that, like, you're my everything, or not my everything, but you're what I'm wanting to build something with, and I can see you in my world always, and I don't want you not there. Well, then how do you make it work? What is that going to look like? Is this logistically, feasibly, who can do what to make this be the relationship? And if it's not workable, then that's sad. But you can't make something work if it's it's just
Right.
But if you're finding yourself in these relationships with these men, or wanting you to be a plaything, that's not what you are. They so that is the conversation you need to say, is that when I have my time, I will absolutely love to go do these things with you. I enjoy them just as much as you do, but you have to understand that I have to fit this into my schedule, so we have to work together to have that time together. But if you need me all the time at your beck and call, or when you're available and you want me there, and and you're going to be upset with, I can't do that for you.
Right. That's good advice.
Yeah. Yeah. Lisa, how did you get into this business?
Kind of funny, us all living more longer, vibrant lives. There's so many of us who recreate ourselves, right? I was an accountant for 20 years.
Wow. Wow.
I started out with, I'll date myself here, but I was with Arthur Young, one of the big 8 accounting firms.
You don't hear that name very much. Yeah.
Right, Ernst & Young now. But yeah, I started out in accounting, and interesting enough, I did very well because I've always been a people person. I'm a very left brain, right brain person. And when so I did accounting. I had my own business with my husband. I love that term. It's not my term, but I love it. And we had a business together, and life together, children together, everything together, until we realized one day it wasn't going to be together anymore. And we started our separation and divorce. And so many things at that time happened. The firm I was working with closed. So I lost my job, and I'm going through a divorce. And I just looked at my life saying, what am I doing? I had a great conversation with my best friend from my college roommate, who 3 years earlier had started a matchmaking business. And for 3 years, I was helping her just for fun. She just, when she started out, can you check out my website? I talked to this person and said this, what do you think about it? And I just started getting more and more involved in her in her matchmaking and loving it. And at this time, she's like, why aren't you doing this? Let's come work with me. And she trained me, and I spent time with her clients, and I loved it. It was just something like, wow, this is, who knew? and my accounting, my left brain, does this debit credit, balances it doesn't. It worked. And the people side, that connection, just absolutely able to hear people and hear and understand them, and that intuition. So anyway, it all just worked. And I moved out to Santa Barbara to start my business. Mm-hmm. And February 14th, Valentine's of 2012, I incorporated. Wow. It was a big deal. I had, my eldest boy was in college. My middle child was at a boarding school for skiing. And then my daughter was at home and at that time, I guess, middle school. So I had teens and a young adult, and they were very, each to varying degrees. My eldest in college was like, okay, I don't care about your, my middle one, my daughter was like, well, it's about time. And my middle son was actually quite devastated by it. But when working through this as a family, through understanding this was not a personal thing, that we both loved them dearly, and helping them through that, they were very supportive when I said, I want, will you move to California with me? Because, here we are, where my daughter was full-time with me. Are you in support of moving and me starting this new life? And they were so on board with it. And that was wonderful to not have any pushback from my kids.
Wow. Yeah, that's huge. Mm-hmm. It's just interesting to hear your story because, well, of course, this podcast is all about having your best life 60 plus, right? I know you weren't 60 plus when you made this move, but
very close now.
but a lot of the people who are potentially listening to this podcast, more people are getting divorced. They're calling it the gray wave or something. People who are getting divorced post 50 and suddenly finding themselves in the situation that you're talking about, where they're having a wholesale life change.
Right.
Now what? And wanting to potentially move to a wonderful place like Santa Barbara, or, years ago, I had a career coaching client who was moving to Marina del Rey, and from Washington, D.C. I mean, so completely different.
Yes.
And she was close to 60 and just going, wow, I just feel like I'm invisible, and, trying to restart her life. So many people are looking for that kind of reboot. Mm-hmm. So it's great for that story.
My story, I had a community who helped me. I mean, I really had dear friends who were supportive. When I moved to Santa Barbara, my divorce was a financial devastation at that time. I really could not have moved to Santa Barbara without dear friends who said, "We come move in with us." They opened their home to myself, my two children, because my son came back at that time, a dog and a cat. They said, please.
This is covered. Uh-huh.
And they said, let's get your business up and running. Because I had said I wanted to do this and I didn't know how it was going to happen. And they're like, just come. So I was so fortunate to have dear people in my world who believed in me, gave me that opportunity to start my life over and do what I was hoping to make a beautiful career, and has proven to be that in my 12th year doing it here. I am very grateful. And so finding that support from who in your world is going to say, do this, instead of, what, are you crazy? You don't need that. You need people who are going to be by your side. And the same thing with dating. I've had people hire me and their friends are like, why are you why are you hiring a coach? You don't need a coach. Why are you hiring a matchmaker? It's like, why wouldn't you? If it's going to get you to where you want to be and make your life so much easier and enjoyable, why wouldn't you do it? So get people on board that are supportive and see your dreams and want to help you get there.
That's a nice, it's perfect.
Yeah. And I think both Kimberly and myself, we've had in our endeavors, starting businesses, a lot of people around us to be supportive as well, wouldn't you say?
I started my last company. Everybody thought I was insane. I don't know that I had the support.
Okay, I take that back.
Sometimes you have to be insane. I mean, when I met my husband, I met him on a ski trip, and I lived in Florida. I met him in Colorado.
Ah.
He came to visit me, and I was not happy in Florida. And I said, he said, "Where do you want to be?" I said, "Well, I love Colorado," and I up and moved.
Is that the husband you're married to now?
No, this is
okay.
Yes, Eric. He's a helicopter pilot, and we had a helicopter business together. So I did all the accounting and stuff. But anyway, I met him and had my children with him, but yeah, that was kind of crazy, I guess. But I knew it. I knew he was amazing, and I knew I was not happy living in Florida. I moved back when my mother was ill and she had passed, and I'm like, what's keeping me here? Why would I stay? What's the purpose? I'm here and I'm not happy. Let's do something brave and new, and it could be crazy, and it was crazy, but it was amazing. And so I say, go for your dreams.
Yeah, well, I think that's how we've all landed here. I left Los Angeles after close to 30 years and moved up here. And Kimberly, you want to speak for you?
I've been wanting to move here for years, and I've been going back and forth. And I've just recently moved up, but my little brother was like, tear the Band-Aid off, just go. And so, and I just absolutely love it up here. I mean,
yeah. I love that you both have done that. And this story is over and over, people following what others might think is crazy, but also it's so rewarding and wonderful. And look what you've done. And you don't want to be back and one day saying, I should have done this, I could have done this. You don't want to have those regrets.
Right.
If it doesn't work, you could at least say you tried.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that's a great, analogy for dating, for sure. Just get out and try it. So many women that I've talked to, I don't want to do it. I don't want to go online. It's like they think, at a certain age they can't be on a dating app, and it's like, no, it's you just do it. Just so it's.
Just be smart about it. Just there's certain things. It's really sad when I hear somebody who, you're talking to these brilliant women, and they've created massive businesses and have had a successful life, and then all common sense goes out the door when we're vulnerable, and we want to believe somebody's got our best intention at heart, and not everybody does, obviously. So, but you can pick up on things like that. If somebody's not, it's just being safe. If somebody won't show their face on a video, if you're in a different location, they won't meet you in person. Don't fall in love with a dream until you've seen them and know they're real. So you've got to be smart and listen to people. Don't want to hear the truth sometimes, or they want to believe that they can change somebody or make them different. Like, no, don't do that. Believe what people are telling you, and let them, and don't rush. Let somebody, you're a valuable person. Don't let somebody rush into your world without earning that right. Mm-hmm. They have to work their way up. The janitor doesn't become the CEO in a month. He's worked through all the the levels to prove he's worthy and he's, got your interest at heart, and there's a mutual. So, I just say, just don't rush either, and be smart.
It's funny. I have more guys that when I tell them we're interviewing you and it's about dating, I think I have more guys that are interested in what you have to say up here. And there's so many guys up, great guys up in this area. But, when it comes to dating, they're looking for the right woman. Is there anything that you think we missed, or you could say to them?
Yeah, I guess it is daunting out there, and we all want connection and love, and we don't want to waste our time with somebody who's going to waste our time. But men and women equally are having challenges finding the right person. So that is where I come in as far as being a matchmaker. If somebody comes to me, man or woman, and I'm excited to represent them, like I love them, I love everything about them, and I could say to somebody, you must meet this person, and this is why. And I have enough people to introduce them to, because I'll look to, they have to be realistic. That's another thing. But if I feel I can introduce people to enough people to get them in a relationship, then I will represent them. Mm-hmm. And so the people who are hiring me are those who value their time and themselves. They don't want to waste it. They're not looking for, oftentimes I hear, oh, men are looking for all the young ones. And that's not true. I mean, that's not who comes to me. There is, of course, a percentage of men who wants the pretty face and the, cute body but I also have a lot of hotties that are cute face and hot body at 60 plus. I mean, they're surprised by that. But if they're looking for somebody who they can build something with and communicate, who understands their generation, those are the men who are coming to me. And they're having just as many troubles finding a woman that matches what they're looking for. So that's where I come in. I'm able to just save people time and energy wasted. It's expensive to date over and over also, and taking out first date after first date after first date. And then you just are like, why am I doing this? So I'm able to avoid these pitfalls and make sure that I'm putting two people who have been highly vetted, and I really believe if they have that chemistry and connection, can build a world together. So that it is frustrating equally for both parties, though.
Yeah, that's great. That makes a lot of sense because so many people are on the apps and feel frustrated.
Mm-hmm. App fatigue is real.
Exactly. So you cut through that.
Yes.
Great. Well, we will look forward to seeing you and all of the wonderful things that you're up to, and keep track of you. And thank you for joining us.
Oh, there's one thing so people should reach out to me. They should get into my database. I do have a website, amadormatchmaking.com. And on it, somebody could put in their profile. Very important to know, it's confidential. Nobody sees it. Not even my clients see who's in my database. So what happens is somebody could put in their information. It's much like an online dating profile, but the difference is it is confidential. And then I meet everybody privately and personally. So anybody who's going to meet my clients, I'm going to interview them. And so I do all of that process. I have a team who helps me go through and determine who are going to be the best matches for me to interview for my clients. But I do meet everybody. And if I'm excited by two people going together, I'm pretty good at it. I mean, my 89% success rate year after year that my clients are getting into relationships. So it's really wonderful.
fantastic.
Thank you.
All right. Well, onward with our 60 plus best life.
Yes. So much more life and vibrancy and vitality and so much to create together. So I wish everybody the best.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the 60 Plus Best Life podcast. We hope you learned useful and inspiring information today. We welcome your comments and also your suggestions of topics we need to discuss. If you know of someone you'd like to hear on our podcast, please share. We think of this podcast as a way to grow a robust community of people who are making life better at 60 plus. People who are living their best life. Thanks again for listening to, subscribing, and sharing the 60 Plus Best Life podcast.